Curiosity killed the cat. We all know this quote. Curiosity killed the cat. And let me tell you, it is true. But listen, all the other cats that were observing that cat learned something new. Learned a way not to die. Okay? Imagine... I'm remembering something. I'm remembering this meme where how do people learn about mushrooms? Some mushrooms make you fly, some make you die, and some keep your hunger satisfied. All right? So, how do people learn that? It was trial and error. Some people were curious enough to try the mushroom, and they were like either flying, being high or something, and some people were dying, or some people were just, oh, this is good. It makes my belly full, so this is good, right? So curiosity killed the cat. I think it was, it's in a way to put a stop to the curiosity of human beings, especially in teenhood, okay? Everybody's saying, you don't have to be that curious. Ignorance is bliss. And listen, ignorance is bliss. I truly believe that. So I'm contradicting. You gotta be curious, but you also gotta be ignorant. So which one is it? Which one is it, Christian? Which one is it, Chris? What the fuck, I gotta make up my mind. But at the same time, I truly believe that curiosity, we should be led by curiosity in ourselves. We should read what interests us. But when it comes to ignorance, I think that we should be running away from what we are afraid of. So let's say I'm afraid of microorganisms, right? I should not be reading about microorganisms because my fear is just gonna be it's gonna be amplified. My fear is gonna be amplified if I read about microorganisms. Read more, weep more. That's how I say it about ignorance is bliss. So I don't want to read about stuff that seem traumatic to me or I'm fearful of those. So I'm not gonna read about that. But curiosity, let's say I'm curious about creative artists, about writers, about people that paint, I guess. I don't know. Whatever I'm curious about, I'm going to read more about those, all right? I'm curious about people in power, in the past, like leaders. I'm curious about that. I'm curious about thinkers throughout all of history and mathematicians and scientists. So I'm going to read more about that. So I think that I am making up my mind here on camera, live. I'm thinking out loud and I'm very proud of myself, okay? Because I actually made up my mind. Do not read about what you're afraid of. Do not. You're going to read more, but you're going to weep more. But be led by your curiosity. What you're curious about, read about that. What you're afraid of, leave it to the gods. Leave it to somebody else, because there are literally out there people that are not afraid of microorganisms and they really want to explore them. Or there are people out there that are not afraid, I guess, of true crime shit, and then they become detectives, all right? To me, it will be traumatic, so I'm not gonna be a detective anytime soon or ever in my entire life, all right? Because I don't want that. I'm afraid of it. You get it? I hope you get it. But I'm curious about science. I'm curious about mathematics. I don't think that I'm curious about mathematics, but I am totally curious about the creative journey. I'm interested about creativity, so of course I'm gonna be reading more about that. So hopefully that makes sense. Bye.